What's up, YouTube? Coming back to you with a follow-up video to my top 2020 green business ideas. Wanted to do a follow-up video because I realized that it's about 50 minutes long, and that's way too long for some people, and that some people just want basically a summary or a quick overview of what was talked about in that video. So I want to give that as an option so you don't have to watch the 50-minute version to see everything. And because obviously the 50-minute version offers you some of the where I got the ideas from, how I came about them, stuff like that. But the summary video, I want to do it to where we just dive right into it, talk about each idea, and just go over it real quickly so you can see the list and come up with your own ideas and get started on your own businesses. So let's dive right into it. First, I welcomed the previous video with just kind of a quick welcome, and just basically that these business ideas that I came up with were pretty much a draft that you just get all your ideas out on paper at first, and then you can subtract from them later. So the main idea, just get everything out there and figure it out later pretty much. You're trying to create your aha moment so that you just basically you get all these ideas together and then you figure out which one resonates with you the most, realizing that when you're trying to see what's out there, that you're looking for just either things like competition in the market. So is it under or oversaturated? This can be seen by when you're researching it. Is there a lot of people already doing this, or is it not so much an idea that's out there already, as you'll see with some of the ideas. And then also, if it's a completely new market, you have to realize also that there may be a high cost of education, meaning that you have to educate your client or your consumer on what the heck your product, service, whatever does, and that it may be super new, so you might spend a lot of money on trying to get them to understand what the heck you're doing. So let's dive right into it and get this, keep the video as short as possible. The first idea that I discussed in the last video was the green product store, basically aggregating green products and having the business do all the research for these products so that the consumer doesn't have to, saving them time and money. So you can either have a brick and mortar store or an online store, make it as convenient as possible for the customer. But pretty much the idea there was just have a green product store with everything aggregated to just one location. The next one, it will make a little bit more sense if you watch the previous video, but pretty much being a biomimicry design consultant, which obviously, like I said, will make a lot more sense if you watch the previous video. But pretty much what this is that there's some ideas in nature that because of evolution and everything, that nature has honed in, and through, like I said, evolution, nature is essentially through like survival of the fittest and stuff like that, things have come about in nature that design things to do them a whole lot better. And so people from the business world have taken this and actually used a lot of things to solve different problems and stuff like that. In the last video, I referenced a book that was in the video that I found this idea in. So a lot of that will make sense, so you'll have to actually look into the video for that one. But basically, the whole idea of this business is it's one of those niche ideas to where there may not be so much competition, so it might be a little bit easier there, but you might have to do some educating your consumer on what exactly the idea is and how you can add a value proposition. So basically what you'd be doing is you'd recognize your value through education and research, so letting your client know exactly what it is, helping them understand how you can add value to their business. The other ideas underneath this one are speaking at seminars or having one-off events, maybe for a business, for either their marketing, R&D department, etc., that may be looking for, that may be plateauing in terms of innovation or ideas, and kind of giving them an idea of where else they can look besides just where they're already looking. So this would be something way out there that they may not be already thinking of. So that goes to the on-site business training events. So moving on to the next idea it's kind of a basic one, just recycled clothing, furniture, consumer products business. So pretty much like your pawn shops, your Plato's Closets, stuff where people buy used items and then resell them. You can see this on channels like Gary V or Gary Vaynerchuk. He's real popular for this. And so the whole buy and sell kind of thing, where you buy low, sell high, but also bulk buying as well, where some people do this with Amazon returns, where you buy in bulk and then resell them out piece by piece to make the higher margin. So that's another idea for something that's reusing or upcycling previously used items that are no longer are looking to be in use. So moving on to the next idea, number 4, rainwater harvesting products. So this is people do this with pretty much just taking a barrel and collecting rainwater and using it to water their plants and other things around their house. And so pretty much just selling them the kit or the supplies that they need and teaching them how to do it, and so that you can just be the one-stop shop for this kind of thing. It'd be just a simple small store idea or small online business kind of thing. You can also have educational seminars where you'd sell them to them right after you get done speaking about the impact and everything like that. So just a quick, easy little idea there. Next one, number 5, is composted soil products. So in the previous video, I showed an article from The Guardian where they were saying that a lot of our agriculture and stuff comes from the use or the high use of topsoil, and that there's a heavy need for it. And so making the case that we do need soil, stuff like this, especially if you want to like plant different items and everything, because it's very important. And so one of the things that composting does is it gives you a soil that's heavy in nutrients, and it basically takes things that were previously unusable or were just dying and decaying, and it uses the pressure and whatnot to create new soil that has better nutrients, stuff like that. Just a quick gist of it. Obviously, you probably know what composting soil is, so I won't get too heavy into it. So the next business idea was number 6, business and energy usage auditing solutions. So basically, you're just going into a business, and for whatever reason, the business, maybe their core business is selling candy bars, so they don't want to spend valuable time from selling candy bars, producing candy bars, whatever. So this is something that they may outsource to somebody else to do, so that they can kind of get a good understanding of where they're maybe overusing, where they're producing a lot of waste, and how they can limit all of these things. So you would essentially be talking to them about maybe high transportation costs, or that their transportation is heavy in diesel or gas when they should be more electric, and how much they can save. Lighting, maybe they're using old dated lighting and they could be switching to LEDs or smart LEDs. Or the next one is automatic controlled power. So this might go into the lighting as well, where having a computer control basically the power of the building, so that you're not using power when you don't need to, and then the power's on when you need it, and so that you can save and it can kind of learn your habits and stuff like that. But like I was talking about, reducing waste, creating their own energy source. So maybe they have a lot of land and they could be using some sort of wind turbine or solar panels, so you can offer that solution to them. And so that's what I was talking about here with these top ones up here. And then basically the bottom portion of this idea would be offering the back end part of that. So the top end was just basically giving the company the analysis of what's going wrong with their business. And then if you wanted to go as far as giving them a publishable report, so that they can publish it to their consumers, their target market base, so that they can show that they're working towards becoming a green business. But also beyond that, putting together a plan of attack for them and actually providing the solution to them could offer a huge value proposition to a business that's maybe doesn't have the time for it, but they do have the money for it. So you can be that kind of that go-between between those two things. So the next one, number 7, small wind turbine sales and installation. So the main idea here was getting people to start small, so that some people they may understand the idea of being environmentally friendly and stuff like that, but they may not want to like go real heavy into it right away. So they may want to start small with something. So pretty much having a business where it's taking essentially big wind turbines and making them better usable for like a household setting, so that somebody can have a small one that maybe generates small power for something that they need, so they can get a small start and get the ball rolling essentially, and get people that may previously weren't interested in it that can be now interested into it. So obviously this offers lower upfront costs to the consumer, and lowers the barrier to entry, so that they can still get that environmentally friendly kind of energy, creating their own power, but at the same time they don't have to like give up $50,000, $100,000. But on the other side, for places that may have a little bit more money to spend, you can offer this as a resource to businesses. And one of the ways that you can create a value proposition for it is, maybe if they don't have a use for just creating power and that's it, you can offer it as a connected product. So maybe it's a wind turbine that powers a light outside that goes along the pathway. So when for an office building or something like that, so when their employees are walking to their cars at night, that it's all powered by the wind or something like that. So that they're not paying for it out of pocket for just coming straight from the ground or straight from the electrical company. So offering that value proposition and pretty much being end to end with giving them the full, here's the problem that you're having, here's how I can fix it, and then fixing that problem for them and just doing everything end to end. So I see that as a fairly good value proposition. Kind of a good idea if you want to look into that a little bit more. But moving on to number 8, similar to what I'm doing here, but essentially it would be environmentally friendly or a green YouTube channel podcast. As we've seen in the news, there's a lot more coming out about being environmentally friendly and kind of our impact, carbon footprint, stuff like that. So people may not always have somewhere to go or somewhere to understand how all this stuff works. So offering something that fills that void, talking about climate change news, discussing new studies that have come out and kind of explaining them or giving a summary, so that you don't have to read the 50-page study, so that because obviously that may not be so user friendly. Whereas if you gave it a summary or gave it a video with nice visuals, it may be more attractive to people that want to look into getting into the industry, and also give you a following essentially. Also talking about new industries within environmentally friendly stuff, other newer topics, green dieting techniques. One of the things I showed in the last video was basically just a search for this stuff, and showing that this would be an example of a more saturated market, because there was a lot of essentially other competition with other YouTube channels, other people already talking about this. So you'd have to take that into consideration when going for a business like this, that you are going to have more competition in this space already. So you will have to work a little bit harder at it. Not that you don't have to work hard for businesses, but at the same time, understanding your market before going into it and expecting something that's not realistic to happen. So looking into also new businesses, DIY home tips, so how you can help somebody be more environmentally friendly at home, and giving them the ideas so that they can make it you can make it pretty seamless for them to transition into this kind of environmentally friendly lifestyle. And then also a newer one, which is investing in the stock market. So there's maybe social impact ETFs that people can invest in, or there's other ways that can connect environmentally friendly stuff with investing that you can talk about and go deeper into, so that people can understand it. They don't have to peruse around the internet trying to search for this stuff and read thousands of pages of stuff just to find the answer. You can provide that for them as a business. Obviously for YouTube, with a lot of YouTubers talking about the revenue going down for them from the ad side, this obviously wouldn't be the end goal here for the way you would monetize it, but obviously you'd have to build that following first, and then you can start with the sponsorships and whatnot like that. So YouTube might not be the end all be all, but obviously it's a pass through to something else, to something in the future, building that following, maybe creating a website talking about the same topic and driving traffic to that, where you can promote your own ads and also having other sponsorships, but a lot of different ideas that can stem from that one. But that's number 8. So number 9, recycled building materials supplier. So just like other materials that are created in the world, there may be an overabundance of them, but for recycled building materials, like getting stuff from old barns and stuff like that, it may be a little bit harder to find. You can't necessarily go on the Home Depot website and find a whole lot of recycled building materials. I don't know, I haven't looked for myself, but I would assume that there's probably a deficit there if somebody was actually trying to look for it. So maybe there's a void there to supply something like that. But some of the upsells here would be not only providing the materials, but either providing ways to use them in either an artful way or from a utilitarian perspective of creating furniture or something like that, something that can offer people value, and then moving even further, if you do have that creative aspect to you, maybe offering clients a interior design service for it. So basically taking the materials that you got yourself and creating something for them within their house so that they don't have to do any of that. But obviously that means you could probably charge a higher price for it. But just a quick idea, and then one of the last ones I put here is that one of the advantages that you have is you can give the material history where it came from, and it gives the client a story and a little bit more attachment to using your service over maybe something just regular materials or something like that. Number 10 here is green education and training services. Now, in the previous video, I didn't talk about all of them. This was one of them that I didn't touch on because my video was going on 50 minutes long, so I wanted to kind of cut it short a little bit. But I'll go over this one just because this is the shortened video. So number 10 was green education and training services. So obviously this would be more targeted towards building online courses on Udemy or something like that, and offering that training for a small price, doing in-person events and full training programs for businesses that want to go green. And so this would be a more general, more basic idea, not too much to say on that. Number 11, a green logistics and transportation service. This kind of goes hand in hand with that consulting or that auditing one, which was way up here. So kind of similar to that, but branching off into a specialization, which would be green logistics and transportation services. So actually this would involve you doing it yourself. And obviously with building a logistical network, you're not going to be able to become UPS overnight. So you may have to start local with a local delivery service, possibly using like electronic vehicles and other areas where that may be of lower cost, so that you can offer that lower price to the client. And then from there could possibly branch out into long distance, because with that lower cost, obviously there's a larger and larger savings with the number of miles and the distance and stuff like that. So if you are able to build out your technology base and go that long distance and do the long distance delivery, you can have that cost savings, but also that lower impact on the environment that you would be able to offer to your client. Maybe somebody that's looking to build out their business and scale up their business, but they also want to be environmentally friendly as well. You can offer that to them. Just this last point that I touched on in the other video, which was intra-business delivery. So some businesses may have in-between warehouses that may be like an hour away that they constantly move stuff back and forth from. You could possibly be that in-between point for them and moving their stuff, which potentially lowers their cost because you're using electric vehicles or environmentally friendly materials, but also offers that lower impact if the client is trying to go that way. So just another idea there, a way of offering a value proposition for that business. Number 12 here, solar energy training services. So obviously solar is something that's becoming a little bit more popular with people like Elon Musk and everything. And some people want to get in their homes, but they may not know a whole lot about it, may not know a whole lot about the cost, about doing an overall cost-benefit analysis, seeing where the costs are versus what's going to actually come in for them. So you can offer that to them by educating them on that, but also businesses. Some businesses, like I talked about in some of the previous ideas, being environmentally friendly is not their core business. It may be something else, like I mentioned, like candy bars or something. And so they may not want to spend their hours doing that because it's not their expertise, but they are willing to spend the money to have somebody else do it like you. So just not a whole lot to talk about on that, but just another idea that I presented in the previous video. Number 13, agriculture, gardening, planting, consulting. So one of the videos that I showed was in a Smarter Everyday video where he was talking about something that's very popular right now with channels like Smarter Everyday, Mr. Beast, and some of the some of the other channels is this whole idea of planting 20 million trees. One of the things that he was talking about in the video that I showed in my video was that it can be the actual logistics of planting that amount of trees. There's definitely some strategy that goes into it, as you may understand, because it's 20 million trees. So understanding where to plant them, how to plant them, how much management needs to go into something like that. So it prompted the idea for me of offering this service for maybe a business that wants to grow either a garden on site, or they want to grow out more on an environmental basis, maybe on their office campus or something like that, maybe to beautify their campus, but also to possibly show that they are environmentally friendly from an aesthetics perspective. So just another way or an idea to look into. But that's the video that prompted me. You can find that video in the previous video that I posted, but just one of the other ideas that I came up with. So this one, the tree farm idea, number 14, this one was kind of one that I just came up with, that I've been to some other places, some other tourist attractions in other states where they had it was a multi-agricultural kind of farm. So they had either a place where you can pick apples, a place you can get your tree, a pumpkin patch, kind of making one seasonal business multi-seasonal so that they have revenue coming in all year long. So I listed that as an idea where you can basically take an agriculture business and offer a tourism side to it by offering different tourist attractions, either by picking your own apples, picking your own pumpkins, etc., but also doing other things like leasing out the property for events like weddings, birthdays, parties, stuff like that, offering a higher margin side to the business, I would say. Offering simple things like hay rides, other food for people to eat while they're there, different merchandise so that other people are marketing your business, but they're also paying you for that merchandise. Offering different organic food and jarred items. So different things like jams and stuff like that are specialty items that they wouldn't normally, they may not buy that premium product at the grocery store, but since they're in your like tourist attraction, may be willing to pay that higher price because it is a specialty item that they're getting while they're there. But also other simple things that attract families. So kids attractions like offering different blow-up items and pedal carts and stuff like that. So something else to think of. But the last one here, since we are becoming a very internet-centric society, offering good spots to take like Instagram pictures, Facebook pictures, stuff like that. So making sure that that's also conscious within your idea. But again, just another idea. That was number 14. So going on to number 15, a plant-based restaurant. With this one, I prefaced it in the other video by showing a documentary that I had watched, which was called Eating You Alive. You can look it up yourself. Very cool documentary, offers a very different perspective on the American diet and how the reason why people are moving away from more meat and meaty type items and moving more towards a plant-based diet. And so one of the value propositions here is that animal products can be a very carbon footprint heavy item to eat, or for the American diet to consume. So one of the reasons why people are moving away, but also the other reason for it being healthier. So one of the things that the voids to be filled here is that whenever you go out for a restaurant, there may not be a whole lot of choices for that more plant-based way of thinking. So offering people that option to be a plant-based heavy restaurant, to where you can offer people that more healthier side, less carbon footprint. Also to you, the back end benefit to you would be lower cost, because as they were showing in the video for this documentary that I was watching, was that things like beans and rice and stuff like that are a part of the diet are of much lower cost. So it would be a lot better for you on your back end because it would cost you less to offer that value proposition to the customer. So moving on to number 16, we're getting somewhat close to the end here. This one was more or less built to offer you a way out if things don't work out, because one of the things I cited here in the last video was that in business, one of the biggest statistics is that a majority of small businesses especially, fail. And so basically what this offers you through AI, which is artificial intelligence, machine learning, data science, within the green services space, is that if it doesn't work out, or let's say the business doesn't work out and you want to get out of it and do something different, it does offer you what seems to be a transferable skill into other things, and so you wouldn't be at total you wouldn't be taking as much of a risk, because what you would be learning, you would be able to transfer to something else if things didn't work out. So the video that I showed was one from a Vox video where they talked about just different technology companies that were offering their machine learning services to oil companies that were in search of oil, and they were trying to use machine learning to understand where they should be looking, where are areas where if they were to look there, there'd be a higher probability of oil being there. And so the funny thing that I mentioned with this idea was that kind of taking that and taking a different spin on it and seeing how you can use machine learning for exact opposites, so not so much fossil fuels, but for green services and for things like that, so that you can kind of flip the script and offer something that would offer a more benefit to the planet and offer that environment a friendly service. So moving on, this one I talked about in the previous video, which was non-toxic eco-cleaning products. The way that I came about this idea was literally some guy showed up at my house and tried to sell me this, and it lasted about 10 minutes, and we bought like 1 or 2 bottles of it or something like that. The guy went as far as drinking it because he said it was that wasn't toxic at all. You could literally drink it. So so offering something like that's similar to that would basically be more eco-friendly, because obviously you don't want to be using all those chemicals, especially if you have kids and different areas like that. So just making sure that that kind of stuff doesn't get out in the environment, and offering that as a value to your end user and client, whatever it may be, whether it's a business or whether it's a specific B2C, so business to consumer. But yeah, just another business idea of offering more non-toxic, eco-friendly cleaning products. So getting down to the third to last, which would be shipping pallets that are normally used on over-the-road freight for semi-trucks. I've seen a lot of people taking these and recreating them or upcycling them into furniture, and so kind of giving there a story there of something that's traveled all over the country, but now something that would previously be thrown away or be burned can now be switched into something that can be upcycled into a more useful product. And so one of the other things I mentioned in this one was creating a new product, or maybe a better shipping pallet that wouldn't be thrown away as quickly, because obviously the wood ones, they don't last as long and they can be broken pretty easily. So if you had one that was a high density plastic, but also as I was looking into this one, it seems like there's a high level of competition there because a lot of these products are already created. So maybe not such a good idea, but definitely looking into the creating products out of the old wood crates could be a possible viability for that business. So moving on to the second to last one, number 19, which is efficient lighting, sales, installation, and training. So this one, in the previous video, I showed just a short video from it's CNBC's $1 billion buyer with Tillman Fertitta. And so one of these, so in this episode, it was guys that were trying to install a solution-based system with smart LEDs, and they were trying to sell this to his resorts or his hotels. And so he was testing them by having them set up these smart LEDs for an event that he was putting on, so he could test whether the cost savings was real, and what they were saying that the cost savings was actually was real before he tried to implement this in a large-scale resort or hotel that he owned. So that could be a possible area of interest for you, offering a service that offers not only the plan but the execution of the project, and following it all the way through to the end, and offering the product and installation so that the client gets end-to-end service, so they get the plan all the way through installation. So just one last idea here is number 20, which was bikes in the inner city. So this is a multi-idea kind of last idea that I had, which was not only offering like bikes as a rental service, but also things like kayaks and everything. But this is, as we've seen, there's different different ways you can go about this. So one of them was like group bike parties. I showed different pictures of this in the last video, but they also do this for boats now. So you can do bike powered boats where people, like large parties of people, can operate a paddle boat system where it's like 10 or 15 people operating it. So different bike options that are obviously eco-friendly and gets people out and doing something that doesn't necessarily create so much of a carbon footprint. So definitely a value proposition there, but also something for fun for people to do, but it's also healthy. So that was basically the last idea there. Hope you enjoyed this summary video. Tried to make it a lot shorter than the last video, but still probably going on pretty long here. So if you liked the video, go ahead and give it a like, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and then let me know in the comment section what you thought of the video and what you would like to see in the future. Thanks for watching.